Today we're going to be answering the question that has eluded wrestling fans over the last 2 years, and that is, who is the biggest draw in All Elite Wrestling? Now listen, I think if you ask any wrestling fan today who they think is the biggest draw in AEW, many of them are going to say names of people that they like. They're going to say Darby Allin, Jon Moxley, Hangman Page, this person, that person, Britt Baker, da-da-da. And listen, I understand you like these people, and these are people that draw you to watch AEW, but I want to get down to the concrete facts. I did the math, and I actually have a formal, professional, mathematical, not even theoretical, but kind of answer for you guys of who I now know are the top 5 draws in AEW. So today I figured Professor Williams will break out his handy dandy whiteboard, and we're going to map out exactly how I determined my answers. We're going to put this into 5 categories because I really had to do a lot of work. So you guys are going to have to see this fucking work I did. Always got to hydrate. What a mess. And it's not trying to come off either. Just great. Anyway, so let's break this down. We got So the first thing we're going to look at is going to be breaking down into AEW main events. And that's going to be every time a show cracks over 900K. So the first category, we're going to look at every show that has gone over 900,000 total viewers. And we're going to look at who was in the main event of those shows. The next category, every time a show cracks over 1 million. So in the second category, it's basically a step up from the last one. We're going to look at every single time AEW has cracked over 1 million viewers and look at who main evented that show and what were the key demos. So in the first 2 categories right here, we're going to be looking at the main events of each and every AEW show that has gone over 900,000 viewers. And we're going to pinpoint who was in that main event and basically tally up how many times has this person appeared in the main event of these shows. And then by the end, we will see exactly who, by the metric of at least the viewership, is the best TV draw. But that's not where we stop at. We have 3 more categories that we're going to tally up here. Because everyone thinks TV ratings are really important, but what they also don't realize is that YouTube is a good part to really branch out and get other people to watch your content, especially branching out to the casual viewer, because guess what? Casuals more than likely are not going to tune into AEW Dynamite every single week, but they are more likely to watch clips on YouTube. So we're going to be looking at the top 15 most viewed AEW videos. So now we're going to look at the top 15 most viewed AEW videos on their YouTube channel. That should tell us exactly who from the casual and hardcore fans are being watched the most. We're going to tally up all 15 of those videos and see who appeared the most times and what is the total amount of viewership that is accrued just by that person being in the thumbnail, the title, and description. But we also have 2 more metrics. Because though YouTube is a really good outlet to branch out, nowadays a lot of kids, teenagers, and adults use TikTok. So we're also going to be looking at every TikTok, I'm a sloppy handwriter, I hope you didn't realize that has broken 1 million views. I'd say it's not fairly easy, but it's not hard to get 100,000 views on TikTok. 1 million is not very easy to do. So we're going to look at how many times has AEW gotten over 1 million hits on TikTok, look at who was in those TikToks, and really find who is the drawing power on TikTok. And then our last category, we're going to be looking at top merch sellers for 2019 and 2020. And then finally, according to Pro Wrestling Tees, which is one website where they do have a lot of their t-shirts and merchandise sold, and I would say majority of the merchandise sold is through Pro Wrestling Tees, we're going to look at who they ranked through their analytics are the top 10 merch sellers for both 2019 and 2020 and determine who is the best merchandise seller for the company over those 2 years. And then at the end, we're going to find our grand total and we're going to rank 5 wrestlers to see exactly where they fall in line. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, so we are at our first category, every time AEW has cracked over 900,000 views. Now the grand total of shows that have gone over 900,000 viewers but just below 1 million is 13 shows in total. So we're going to break down all 13 shows and what were the main events of those shows and the key demos. On October 23rd, 2019, they came in at 963,000 views with a 0.45 demo, with the main event being Jon Moxley versus Pac. On November 13th, 2019, they came in at 957,000 viewers with an 0.43 demo, with the main event being Christopher Daniels and Scorpio Sky versus Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. On January 1st, 2020, they came in at 967,000 viewers with an 0.36 demo, and the main event being Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks versus Pac and the Lucha Brothers. On January 8th, 2020, they came in at 947,000 views with an 0.36 demo, and the main event of that show being Jurassic Express versus the Best Friends. On January 15th, 2020, they came in at 940,000 viewers with a 0.38 demo, and the main event being Pac versus Darby Allin. On February 5th, 2020, they came in at 928,000 with an 0.36 demo, and the main event being Joey Janela versus Kip Sabian. Technically, though, you could say the main event segment being the scene where Cody got whipped by MJF and Wardlow. On the March 4th, 2020 edition, they came in at 906,000 viewers with a 0.35 demo, and the main event being Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin. On the March 18th, 2020 edition, they came in at 932,000, with the main event being Jake Hager, Santana, and Ortiz versus Hangman Page, Matt Jackson, and Cody Rhodes. That was the start of the pandemic era. On the September 2nd, 2020 edition of AEW Dynamite, they came in at 928,000 viewers, with the main event being Jon Moxley versus Mark Sterling with an 0.36 demo. On the December 2nd, 2020 edition, they came in at 913,000 views, with the main event being Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega, and the demo being an 0.42. On the December 30th, 2020 edition, which is also known as the Brody Lee Memorial episode of AEW Dynamite, it came in at 977,000 views with an 0.40 demo, with the main event being Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy, and Preston Vance versus Team Taz. On the March 3rd, 2021 edition, they came in at 934,000 viewers, with the main event being John Silver and Hangman Page versus Matt Hardy and Mark Quinn. And on the May 12th, 2021 edition of AEW Dynamite, they came in at 936,000 viewers with an 0.31 demo, and the main event being Miro versus Darby Allin. So in conclusion, of men who have main evented shows over 900,000 viewers but just below 1 million, we have the likes of Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy, Hangman Page, and Matt Jackson, just Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks, not Nick Jackson. All of these men have main evented at least 2 shows that are over 900,000 but below 1 million. Now, we go down here. We have Jon Moxley, Pac, and Darby Allin. These 3 men have all main evented shows under 900,000 but below 1 million 3 times over. So they have a leg up over the previous names. Now keep all this information in mind, because now we're about to look at main events that have gone over 1 million viewers. Now we're going to look at every time an AEW show has went over 1 million viewers. Starting with the very first episode of AEW Dynamite happening on October 2nd, 2019, with their highest demo ever, a 0.68, with the main event being the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz. The following week being the October 9th, 2019 edition of AEW Dynamite, doing 1,018,000 viewers with a 0.46 rating, and a main event of Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara versus Hangman Page and Dustin Rhodes. The following week then doing a 1,014,000 viewer with a 0.44 demo, and a main event being Chris Jericho versus Darby Allin for the AEW Championship, a show that I attended. They wouldn't reach 1 million viewers again until the following year, September 9th, 2020, where they hit 1,016,000 views with a 0.37 in the demo, main event being Brody Lee versus Dustin Rhodes. Now, while this technically is not 1 million viewers, I'm going to round up since it's so close. On the December 9th, 2020 edition, they hit 995,000 views with a 0.45 demo, main event being MJF versus Orange Cassidy. Fast forward to this year, which is the year they have hit 1 million the most amount of times, the April 14th, 2021 edition of Dynamite, their second highest viewer ever, 1,219,000 with a 0.44 rating, Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy. The following week, they go again, 1,104,000. Main event of that show, Darby Allin versus Jungle Boy for the TNT Championship, a 0.37 demo. 2 weeks later, they yet again hit 1 million viewers, The Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle, Blood and Guts with a demo of 0.42. And then finally, this month, last week, July 14th, 2021, AEW does 1,025,000 views. The main event of the show, Darby Allin versus Ethan Page. So we just went over all the shows that have gone over 1 million viewers. Now we're going to break down who were in the main event and exactly how many times the main evented. So let's look at the board. We had the likes of Santana and Ortiz collectively as Pride and Powerful, Sammy Guevara reappearing, Dustin Rhodes, not Cody surprisingly, and MJF. All 5 of these men have come into this list 2 times. But now look down here. You have Darby Allin and Chris Jericho. Both of these men have main evented shows that have gone over 1 million viewers at least 4 times from both men. That's pretty good, in my opinion. And now that this is all out the way, let's erase and give you all a grand total. Oh, shit. So now we have our solidified list of the top 4 TV main eventers. These guys, when they're in the main event, the show is guaranteed to be a hit in the ratings. Let's look at the chart. So, top 4, number 4, tied for this spot, we have Jon Moxley, Pac, Cody, Orange Cassidy, Hangman Adam Page, Kenny Omega, and Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks. Sorry, Nick Jackson. All of these guys tie with 3 separate shows apiece, which they have all main evented. Good for those guys. Number 3, a shocker to me and a shocker to a lot of you, I bet. Number 3 is Sammy Guevara. You know, I knew that he main evented quite a bit of AEW shows, but I didn't know he main evented a lot that featured him being in, you know, really good shows. Like really good, you know, high viewed shows. But Sammy Guevara comes in with 4 main event shows that he's been in where they've been over 900,000. 3 of those over 900,000, and 1 of those being over 1 million. And number 2, we have Chris Jericho, the Demo God. He has 6 of those shows under his belt. Now, mind you guys, that is 6 out of 22 shows, which means that Chris Jericho has main evented 27% of the shows that have been over 900,000. 2 of those being directly over 900,000, and 4 of them being over 1 million. Number 1 over here is Darby Allin, which a lot of you might not be shocked by. Darby Allin has 1 leg over Chris Jericho with 7 of the 22 shows. Now that, in a percentage, is, not gonna lie, I gotta look down and cheat, 31%. 31.82% to be exact. Darby Allin main eventing at least 3 shows over 900,000 and 4 shows over 1 million. So we can confirm that at least our top main event draw from this list in general are all these guys. But the top draw, at least for TV, Darby Allin. There we go. Looking at the top 15 most viewed videos in AEW on YouTube. Coming in number 15, we have Sting's debut with 3.7 million. Number 14, we have Chris Jericho's AEW Revolution entrance at 3.8 million. Number 13, we have Brandy and Awesome Kong shaving Mel's head, 4.1 million. Number 12, we have Jon Moxley returns to save Darby Allin from the Inner Circle, a 4.1 million. At number 11, Jon Moxley, Pac, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, post-match skirmish, 4.3 million. Number 10, Jon Moxley in the Inner Circle segment on AEW Dynamite, a 5.2 million. Number 9, we have Chris Jericho and Orange Cassidy segment, 6.7 million. And number 8, we have Jon Moxley versus Ortiz in a post-match face-off between he and Chris Jericho, 7.1 million. Number 7, Chris Jericho and Mike Tyson face off on Dynamite, an 8 million viewed video. Number 6, we have Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle beating down Jon Moxley, 10 million views. Number 5, Orange Cassidy destroying Luchasaurus' knees, 10 million views. Number 3, Orange Cassidy destroying Pac's knees at AEW Revolution, 18 million views. Number 2, a huge post-show brawl that ends out Dynamite leading into Full Gear, 21 million views. And finally, their biggest video yet, Orange Cassidy, quote-unquote, Kid Orange Cassidy versus Cody Rhodes, a post-show segment from AEW Philly, which I saw live, probably have the video on my phone, 34 million views total. Now that I have listed the top 15 YouTube videos from AEW, let's now look at the most popular wrestlers on the YouTube channel. This is going to be tallied by the wrestlers who appear within those 15 videos, at least in the thumbnail and in the title. Not necessarily has to be in the title, but if they're focused on at least one of those parts, they're in. So after that 15 tally, I have come down to 3 men. Then the third man being Jonathan Moxley. Jon Moxley being featured in 6 of the 15 most popular AEW YouTube videos. Funnily enough, most of his videos involve Chris Jericho, which tells you which was the most hottest feud possibly in AEW history. Those 6 videos in total accrue up to 51 million views rounded. That's some great numbers. We go down to number 2, which was his rival, Chris Jericho. Once again appearing on this list at the top spot, Chris Jericho has majority with 8 out of 15, which is damn near half of the entire 15. If it was one more, it would be a direct half. I think because it's 15, that makes it even more than half. So that's actually a phenomenal number. And Chris Jericho, in total of 8 out of 15, has 66 million viewers rounded. Now we're going to go down to number 1, which may not shock you, but it'll shock you in how they have less videos, but more views. And that, guys, is Orange Cassidy. Despite being number 1, Orange Cassidy only makes up a third of the list with 5 out of the 15. However, if you break it down and see that Orange Cassidy is in 4 of the top 5 videos in AEW's most viewed section, you will know that, accompanied with the other video that's not in the top 5, all those videos collectively come up to 79 million people rounded, which gives us our conclusion that Orange Cassidy is the most popular wrestler in AEW, at least on social media's YouTube. Now, looking at TikTok, we're going to look at the most popular TikToks in AEW's TikTok page, which has been open and active since 2019. Now, they are a wrestling company, which means that they are probably one of the lowest ranking TikTok channels that there is in terms of viewership. However, out of the, if I could tally a number, maybe 50 videos, at least 3 of them have gone viral and have gone over 1 million viewers. One of which being an Orange Cassidy and Best Friends hug during one of their matches. I believe that was from 2019. As of today, has 1.9 million views on TikTok. The most popular of the bunch being Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho having a standoff during their feud in the summer of last year. The most popular one they have going over 6.6 million views on TikTok. Now we look at Jon Moxley and MJF, which is not the most, but it's the least. But it's Jon Moxley and MJF segment. It's not even a segment, it's more of a sequence from their match, which I found really interesting because matches tend to not really do big numbers on TikTok. It's usually moments from matches. But this got 1.1 million views on TikTok. Now we bring it down here, we see that Chris Jericho, Jon Moxley, MJF, Chuck Taylor, and Trent have gotten at least one of the 3 videos on TikTok in the most popular. And of course, the most popular being Orange Cassidy, making up 2 of the 3 on the list, which means that at least on TikTok, Orange Cassidy is the most popular. Now let's look at our last category, that one being merch sales. On to the final part of our list, which are the top merch sellers, and I've gone by both years that AEW has been active. Not counting 2021 because we're still in the middle of 2021. So we're only counting the years 2019, which they were only good for like 3 of the months of 2019. And of course, all of 2020, which is going to be the one we look at the most. But in 2019, on that top 10 list, you have Jurassic Express, which collectively is Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, and Marco Stunt. You have Jay White of New Japan Pro Wrestling, which we're going to X him out because he is not of AEW yet. Mick Foley, also not of AEW. Good for him, but no. Tetsuya Naito, also not of AEW. X him out. Number 6, you have Cody Rhodes. Number 5, you have Marty Scurll, who... Yeah. Number 4, we have Jon Moxley. Pretty important number. Number 3, we have the Young Bucks, who have always been really good merch sellers, so this should shock none of you. Number 2, we have Kenny Omega, and he was really, really popular the year prior, and then him signing with AEW 2019, him being pushed, Jon Moxley, that makes sense. And then number 1, Chris Jericho, selling the most merch, you know, a little bit of the bubbly, all that stuff. The guy's fucking excellent with merchandise. I am not shocked at all. But now let's move over to 2020, which is really the telltale sign because this is the first full year that AEW's had. 2019 is not a full year, and of course 2021 is not a full year either. Number 10, we have Owen Hart, which I'm going to guess it's because of Dark Side of the Ring, but we're going to X him out. Rest in peace. Number 9, we have Hangman Adam Page, part of the Elite, kind of not part of the Elite. Number 8, we have the Young Bucks, so they actually moved up 5 spots, which you could say is not necessarily good, but they still made the list. Jon Moxley also moving up from his number 4 spot, moved up 4 spots. We have the Inner Circle collectively, so Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz. Now we have number 5 is Cody Rhodes, which he was number 6, so he actually moved down 1. That's pretty good. Number 4, we have Kenny Omega, who also moved up from his spot. A lot of people moved up. Not the best thing in the world, but they're still in the top 10 list. Number 3, Chris Jericho. I mean, the guy technically is in 2 spots. He's in both number 6 and number 3. You might as well condense that down to number 1, but he's number 3. Number 2, Orange Cassidy. Interesting enough, Orange Cassidy wasn't even in the 2019 list, but he is in the 2020 listing. Interesting. And then number 1 being Brody Lee, which is not super surprising considering that he did sadly lose his life last year. It is, however, very shocking that he reached number 1 as quickly as he did, considering that he lost his life at the tail end of 2020. He literally, I believe, passed away in the last week of December, I believe. And he managed to become the number 1 merch seller, which is actually astonishing and amazing. And once again, rest in peace. But from this conclusion, we can see that Brody Lee, Chris Jericho were the top merch sellers for the respective years. But once again, you look at the trend here. Inner Circle number 6 for 2020. Chris Jericho number 3 for 2020. Chris Jericho number 1 for 2019. And then we also could look at Kenny Omega being number 4 for 2020 and number 2 for 2019. So if you want to break it down that way, I think the rough estimate is going to be that number 2 best merch seller in AEW. We could actually just round out and say that is Kenny Omega as number 2. And the number 1 best merch seller across AEW for the last few years, Chris Jericho. So there we go, guys. Those are our top merch sellers for AEW. And with that all being said, let's now get back into the chair, or at least me get back into the chair, and let's go over who are the top 5 draws in All Elite Wrestling. And with all the pre-calculus work out of the way, let's now talk about who are the top 5 draws in AEW. I can say confidently that number 5 is Darby Allin. As we talked about earlier, Darby Allin appeared in 7 main events, each of those main events being shows that were over 900,000 viewers, some of them even being over 1 million. Now that would say that Darby Allin is a draw on TV. The only reason why Darby Allin isn't higher on this list is because that's really the only place where Darby Allin draws. If you go to merch sales, he's not in the top 10. If you go to YouTube, not in the top 15. I mean, he appears 1 time, but that's it. You go to TikTok, not on TikTok. Like, Darby Allin seems to only really draw on TV, so if I had to really give him a label, I would say he's a draw for hardcore fans mainly. I mean, you might have some casual viewers in there that tune in, but I would say for people who watch Dynamite, they enjoy Darby Allin, but they may not enjoy him enough to really watch him outside of TV, which, not to say that Darby Allin's bad or anything, because I love Darby, I know I love Darby, but still a top draw, number 5. Number 4 in here, collectively, I have to put in the Elites, and that is Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Hangman Page. I mean, it's all Elite Wrestling for a reason. These guys are basically the centerfold of AEW. And they've kind of hit the marks on just about everything from TV. While they're not really in the top 5 for TV, they're in the TV ratings. They go to merch. They're the best merch sellers. You go to YouTube. They're in the YouTube algorithm. They're in the TikTok algorithm. Not really TikTok, but in other videos they are. The Elites are a good center point for just about anything, especially merch sales. I could confidently say the Elite are more draws for the hardcore fans. Of course, you're going to go around seeing Young Bucks shirts and such, but I don't think they're really a big catch for the casuals, because if they were, they would be more views for social media. But hey, they're drawing on TV and they're selling merch, and that's a good thing for the pockets of those guys. Let's go down to the top 3. And number 3, I have Jon Moxley. Now, while he didn't main event too many shows that went over 1 million or went over 900,000, as we could tell earlier, he was really popular on YouTube, and mainly with his feud with Chris Jericho. Especially the early stage of AEW, you could see the trend where Jon Moxley really took over their YouTube page, and just about every video he was in at least went over 1 million, and that tells me that a lot of maybe WWE fans, Laps fans really enjoy Jon Moxley enough to catch him on YouTube, on TikTok, on TV when they can. That's a draw in my eyes, and that's a draw to the algorithm as well. I would say Jon Moxley is a draw on both ends, but more or less a casual draw than a hardcore. Of course, he is always going to be a draw for hardcore fans, but I think casuals might be more to his tune, seeing as that he has a lot of drawing power on YouTube and TikTok. I wouldn't say that's really surprising, but yes, Jon Moxley, number 3. Number 2, we have Orange Cassidy. Now, while he is not a main eventer in terms of being, on TV and always having the TV main events and being the top draw on television, I can very confidently say that Orange Cassidy is very much a draw to casual viewers. This guy is the most popular on social media across TikTok and YouTube. Especially on YouTube. I go outside of YouTube, you go to Facebook, you go to just about any streaming platform with content, and you have most likely seen Orange Cassidy on there, because casual viewers and some non-wrestling fans just find him very avant-garde, very funny, very intriguing to look at, and honestly, he really is. I think Orange Cassidy is going to be that guy who could really bridge a lot of non-wrestling fans into watching AEW. I mean, he's already done so with my friend George, and I feel like he is that guy. Orange Cassidy is the guy that could be memed and it'll work, and I think he could possibly meme wrestling into popularity. Orange Cassidy is definitely a draw for both hardcores and casuals, but don't sleep on the casual audience, because Orange Cassidy, I feel like, is a great asset for those casuals and even non-wrestling fans. And the number 1 top draw in all Elite Wrestling, should come to no surprise to all of you, is Chris Jericho. He may be 50 years old, he may be past his prime, he may not be in the main events all the time, but when you look at it, he is number 2 top draw on TV, he is number 2 on YouTube, he's number 2 in the YouTube algorithm, number 2 in TikToks, and he's top 3 in merch sales. There's a reason why Chris Jericho is always featured in AEW in some lights, whether it be a segment on commentary and matches, is because Chris Jericho is a very pivotal part of that show. Without them, they would be in, I don't want to say deep trouble, but they would suffer without Chris Jericho. I'll be honest, I don't know where AEW would be right now if Chris Jericho didn't sign with them. But it's definitely certified that the biggest draw for all Elite Wrestling, at least as of today, 2021, is Chris Jericho. And that was the video, guys. I'm sweating my ass off. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It is a lengthy video, so if you sat through the whole thing, comment down below with a shaka bra emoji. Let's see who actually watched this whole thing. Make sure you guys like the hell out of this video. Let's get this video to 50 likes. Subscribe if you're not already for more content similar to this. Do you want more content like this? I don't know. Let me know. Anyway, I love you guys always, and I will see you all later. Peace.